Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today I'm going to take a closer look at these Milwaukee Combination Wrenches. They make metric and SAE. I've got some of the metric ones here. They are on the metric side from 8mm through 22mm, no skips. And they are supposedly giving you up to 25% more torque. I think that's because of the shape here, and maybe some pain index. I'll mention that in a moment. And on the back you can see it says engineered by Milwaukee Tool, professionally made in Taiwan. The I don't know, the fit and finish of these things is incredible. They are just beautiful. This is a 14 obviously, and you can tell a couple of ways. One is the giant 14, but also it's black. They have ink-filled depressions here in the wrench. The SAEs are the same except they're red. So you can just glance. If you see black, it's metric. If you see red, it's SAE. They have a couple of interesting features compared to traditional wrenches. Go head to head with the snap-on and this Milwaukee here. So the first one is you can see that there's a unique shape of the handle. This is called their I-beam, and that's what it looks like. It's kind of like in construction an I-beam, where it's wider on the edges, or there's more material out here than through the center. So they've got kind of a depression. See if I can get that right in there, like a spooned out in there. Excellent work. I mean, just beautiful the way they finished that off with the chrome. It says the wrench size on all four corners of the thing. So the I-beam is a really good feel in the hand, excellent control, and the thickness here compared to the snap-on is definitely different. You can see that. Grab my little thing here. So I'm looking at about 4.5mm versus about 4, a little under 4. So a little over 4.5 to a little under 4. That half millimeter makes a bit of a difference. It's also the angle here. This, you can kind of feel the corner of it. This is really smooth all the way around. So they spent more time on that. And the next thing is what they call the max bite. And the max bite, when I first saw that, when I first saw one of these, I thought that looks like a Mac tool, kind of the way they finish off their open ends. So max bite, it's actually M-A-X-B-I-T-E, M-A-X, yeah, M-A-X-B-I-T-E, but I thought of M-A-C-S-B-I-T-E, max bite. But anyway, what this is a way to get more of the fastener onto or into the jaw system of the wrench. Does it two ways. One is the length of these teeth, I guess, the length of these areas, the biting surface, and also this depression down here at the bottom that allows the bolt head to, or the nut head, to drop down into that area. I don't know if it necessarily is giving it a lot more strength, but it does allow it to seat deeper into the sock, or into the open side of the wrench. Now, when I played around with it in kind of this test bed, it has about the same amount of wiggle or slop on this bolt as the snap-on. This particular one, if you can see it on this 10mm bolt here, it does mean that the bolt is able to completely seat inside the wrench head. In combination, here is a brand new snap-on, Craftsman, excuse me. This particular one, straight off the shelf, is, I guess, their new line. Really chintzy looking finish work on it. In fact, this is like a nail file. Where is it made? Well, if you look really, 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 really close, you can see right in there, made in India. You know what? That's exactly what it feels like. I've seen some of the Indian and Pakistani tools, and they just have a kind of a feel. I don't know if it's the metal or the finish work. Ding there. But just, I'm going to compare it to this guy here. This is one of the first Craftsman wrenches I ever bought. I probably got this in the 80s. And you look at it, I mean, it's just beautifully finished. They spent a bunch of time. But here's the kicker. Ready? Made in Japan. And then they went to made in the U.S., and now it seems they've gone to India. I didn't notice it was Japan, or I would have mentioned that a long time ago, because when I got the set, I actually marked them. This was my metric. I had straight blue for my SAE, and then red stripe if they were metric. And that's also how I knew my wrenches, because pretty much this was the only wrench anyone I knew had. And I covered up the Japan, so I didn't even realize that till recently when I was taking that off to check it. And when I compared it to this, I mean, this just feels awful, but here's where I'm going with it. Check that out. Look at that. It doesn't even completely grab the bolt. I mean, to the edge. Not too bad as far as the amount of play. It's within the others, pretty close, but it really is a shallow bite, whereas I go to my old Japanese one and it actually has a really deep bite. Compare that to the Milwaukee. You know, it's in there. In fact, it might even be a little bit more. Of course, that also can cause other problems on the far end. So if I line that up, I'd say that Craftsman sticks out a little bit more. My old Craftsman from the 80s, made in Japan anyway. So anyway, I've been playing around with these Milwaukees. I really like the fit and finish on them. I like the attention to detail. The price is about right. It's more than Craftsman, an individual Craftsman. Certainly less than a Snap-on. Maybe a third the price of a Snap-on, depending on the size. But anyway, definitely worth looking at. I really, really do like the way they feel in the hand. And I wish Snap-on now would kind of up their game a little bit, because that's just fun to hold. It is a nice wrench. And it seems to work well. We'll find out over the long term. I'm curious if you've used them and have experience with them, but it's not just an also-ran. It's a good, solid, feeling hefty wrench. And with that, Doc out.